Hi everyone. So my name is Tiago Costa, and we are going to get started with the Azure Functions webinar. But first of all, we'd like to ask for apologies because we had a small technical issue with the webinar, and we took a long time to be able to connect. And for that, we are so sorry for everyone. Okay, so let's get started, and let's hope that you enjoy the webinar, and let's compensate you guys with that. So a small introduction to Intellect's core services. So Intellect is a company that does consulting and instructor-led training. Um, in terms of consulting, it goes through custom software application development, designing, architecting solutions. In instructor-led training, it's Microsoft #1 training vendor for over 15 years, and Intellect training more than 50,000 Microsoft developers. And I think all the partnerships with Microsoft, all the gold basically partnerships that you see over there, I think they prove a little bit that also a little bit were the consultants and the trainers that work with Intellect. Just an example, some of them wrote more than 30 books, and writing a single book it's already a great achievement. One more if we have 30 persons, or at least people in the company that wrote in a total of 30 books. Some of them wrote way more than one, but that's really a huge achievement here. Special offer for all the attendees on this webinar. So you're going to get 10% discount on any public virtual mock course. So you can just go to that link and you can check that. Also 10% discount on Microsoft certification role training. And also you can make use of the $99 transition certification exam vouchers that this will expire in June. It's a promotion for the transition exams that you have, and also 10% discount for private on-site training. So if you want more information about this, just contact Marta. You have her email over there. I will also pass this in the end of the webinar, but Marta will be more than happy then to provide you all the extra information that you might need and questions. Just basically forward them to Marta. So doing a small presentation about myself. So my name is Tiago Costa. I'm a cloud architect and advisor, which is a very interesting role in my view, because I help companies to design their solutions for the cloud, mainly on Azure. And I help them also envision what were going to be the new technologies that are going to be ahead, so that they are ready ahead of all the competition and all their competitors. Um, and I'm also a trainer, so I train consultants on Azure. I'm also the author of some of the courseware for Microsoft. I'm also the speaker in some events, like for example Microsoft Ignite. I work as an independent contractor. I'm an MVP for Microsoft Azure, MCT, and also which is a Microsoft certified trainer, and also a regional lead. You have all my contact information over there. So if you want, follow me on Twitter. I usually tweet a lot about Azure. Same thing in my blog. You have my URL over there. And if you want to reach me with questions about the webinar, etc., just please do. Just send me an email. I'm more than happy to help everyone. So today's agenda. So we're going to talk about Azure Functions. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about serverless and what serverless means, and the why, the need for serverless. Then let's just focus on Azure Functions. Then let's talk about triggers, bindings, durable functions, and also a little bit about another concept on the serverless world on Microsoft Azure, which is logic apps. And then can I integrate logic apps with Azure Functions? So we are also going to check this out. So talking a little bit about serverless. So if we start with bare metal, we need to make a good management of all the resources that we have in our company. So we have servers, and we basically needed to take care of them, install the OSs, manage the hardware. If we wanted to have high availability, we needed to take care of that, etc. Then, a few years ago, we started to use virtual machines, which was a huge step in terms of being easy to manage. So we're just decreasing a little bit the control, but again, we're just trying to focus on the business. Then today we can also work with containers. That is a step further. But even if we want to go a step further, we need to go to like functions. The big advantage that I see over here is that I will focus, okay, basically on my business logic. So I just need to write the code to do my task, my business, and I don't need that much to work and to think about in all. But I basically didn't want. Can you guys listen to me? Can you guys just do a question if everyone can listen to me? Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, because we are having some problems here. I don't want to be here talking for a few minutes or an hour alone in my office. Okay. So basically, if we want to go to functions, so basically the big idea is that I will just focus, or on what? I will just focus on my business logic, and I don't need to focus that much in managing all the infrastructure. That is the big advantage that I personally see in serverless. I don't need to work it out like, oh, is this I available or it's not. So all of that, I will just assume that the platform is doing all that for me. So like I was saying, so the evolution of serverless. So we started some many years ago. We had basically servers were what we call the bare metal. So no virtual machines. We really installed the OS in the machine, and we just worked for that machine. Then we started to have in the cloud, and we start to move to infrastructure as service in the cloud. So running virtual machines in the cloud, and that's a huge step further because I don't need to manage all the bare metal stuff that I need to manage on my data center. And this involves, like, I don't need to know all the specs of servers and make sure that I'm buying the correct ones that will attach with the others, etc. So all of that, it's gone. I don't need to worry about all that. I just need to build virtual machines in infrastructure as a service, and that's it. Then one of my favorite approaches, it's when we go to PaaS. Okay, so PaaS is even go a little bit step further because I don't need to manage my virtual machines. I don't need to manage and updates. All of that again is gone. Okay, the platform will take care of that for us. But even though if we want to grow pretty fast because we have like a huge spike on the demand, etc., well, it's PaaS, okay, it works, but it's not that fast. And for that, okay, I can use container, and I can use container orchestrators. Like, for example, I can use AKS, which is Azure Kubernetes services, or even others that you have. But all of that, again, okay, there is still concerns that I need to have around high availability. If I go for serverless, the big advantage of serverless is that all that is taken care. It's taken care how? For example, as you see here, I have a monolithical application on the top. I can break down that monolithical application in microservices. Okay, yeah, great. So I will have a huge number of container processes over here. They are represented, okay, by these boxes that you can see over here. But then, are they highly available? No. Okay, so let's make them highly available. So at least in here, I just represented them as 2 of each. But of course, we know that in some cases we even need more than 2. But again, an increase, okay, here on the cost and the footprint of the infrastructure that we have just because of this. And then I have to say, well, but I still need to make them highly available in case of a region fails. So, okay, let's just create 2 infrastructures like this in one in each region. And that is, again, more operational cost, more complexity, and this will cost a little bit of money just to run this application to be highly available with containers. Okay, so what is serverless? So serverless, we call it always a cloud native platform for short running stateless computation, event driven application, which it will scale up and down instantly and totally automatically. So this is the big advantage, is that the scaling and up and down, it will be taken care by the platform, so we don't need to have it. And the charges for this, it will be well, depending of course on the service that you're using, but let's just stick with this, to the millisecond. So we can be charged by the millisecond that we are going to use, and not by the whole month, and we're not using anything for a month, and we're just using for running like a thing that just runs like every week one time, for example. Yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem. So serverless means no servers? Of course not. Okay, there is always servers somewhere. The thing in the big advantage is that don't need to worry about those servers, those containers, those virtual machines that are running somewhere. I just don't care. It's run by the platform. It's in our case that we're talking about Azure Functions here. They are taken care by Microsoft Azure. I just don't need, to manage them. So I will not worry about servers. I will worry about what? My code, my business. And then, of course, I can just attach to this and to all of this, the triggers like we were talking about. So I can do event programming model with my serverless functions. So I can just run pieces of code just to respond, okay, to some events that I will have. So all of this in the Azure world, we have a service that is called Azure Functions. So it's the serverless compute service that we have, that we can have code on demand without having to provision an infrastructure. So there is no infrastructure for me to provision. I will do a demo, and you're going to see. I just go to the Azure portal and just say, hey, I want a function, and that's it. Okay, I'm not going to do that much. And then, of course, then I can just put this to respond to a series of events. So basically, a solution that is to run small pieces of code. And this is the trick here. And I have a slide with best practices, that this is really to run really small pieces of code. You're not going to make a single function that will do all the process. It's just going to do one of the steps of the process, and that's it. Okay. Also, you write only code that is relevant to the business logic, and all the code to do the plumbing of the code. So connect this. Oh, after this, I need to call the other part, etc. So all of that is gone. The platform will take care, and you're going to see this with triggers and bindings. I can do all that. And then, of course, in Azure Functions, we support currently a series of languages, like, for example, C#, Node, Java, PHP, and Python, and even scripting languages. So today, it's possible to run Bash and PowerShell scripts in Azure Functions. PowerShell, for example, it's still under preview, but it's still already something that we can do. So let's just check some common scenarios to run this, like timer-based processing. Okay, so every week I need to do a process. I just need to do something. Azure Service event processing, a SaaS event processing. Okay. Building serverless web applications architectures. And for example, I just built one that is a serverless web application architecture for a customer, that they have a web application where their staff, their internal staff, is managing purchase orders from customers, and when they have the order ready, they just, well, basically there is a button in the application that they says, yeah, it's ready, the process is finished, okay, and then we need to issue a PDF, which is a very complex process because we need to call a series of services, etc. And it takes a while. And then basically we need to ship need to upload that PDF through still FTP to another third-party logistic company. And what happens is that, so all these two parts, I have done this, okay, with two Azure functions. One Azure function generates the PDF, the other one will basically send it just sends the PDF through FTP. And how do I do this? It's pretty simple. The first one will have a trigger that is it's a queue, a message queue. So every time that you get a message there means that a order is complete. It goes to the databases, calls the services, builds the PDF, drops the PDF in an Azure storage blob storage account, the blob container. Then the other function fires because it's monitoring that exact container, and then basically grabs the file and then sends the file through FTP. So this is something that all this plumbing code here, I wrote zero. I just configure it. Hey, just put stuff there. Just if something is there, just run it, and that's it. Okay, that was like awesome what we could do for this. Also real-time stream processing and also bot messaging. So all of this are examples that we can do. For example, if you work with Office 365, there are some developments that you can do with Azure Functions, okay? Like for example, in the old days of SharePoint, people used a lot of timers, which are timer jobs, and today they don't have they don't have it on SharePoint Online, so they can use Azure Functions to do some integrations even with Office 365 using the Microsoft Graph and all of that. So functions integration, so what we have in here. So I can integrate this. I already told you some stuff, like for example, queues. In my case, those queues are from the Azure storage. They are not even service bus queues. And also the blob storage. But you can also do this with queues and topics from the Azure Service Bus. You can also integrate this with notification hubs, event grid hubs, Cosmos DB, and even on-premises things like, for example, you can integrate this with other on-prem services, and even Twilio, for example. Twilio is an awesome service. So if you receive a text message in your Twilio number, you can make sure that it's your Azure function that is going to take care of it, and it will just, well, do something. Again, the business that you have over there. Scaling and hosting all of this. So there is two big ways for us to host this. The first one is to just run this in an app service plan, okay? The traditional app service plans, no big deal over there. But then, look, I need to do what? I need to control the scaling. So I need to put auto scaling in my hosting plan. I need to make sure that, hey, if the compute goes up to 80% or something like that, just basically, well, just fire up your another instance. I need to control the costs. I will pay for my app service. Let's imagine I'm paying a standard S1, so I'm paying like around $65 per month. And even if you're not using this, guess what? You're paying $65 a month. But let's imagine that I go for another model, which is called consumption. And for example, I have an Azure function for a personal project for some communities in my country that I just need to run that one time a week. So in average, let's just say that I run that 4 times a month, and it takes like 30 seconds, 1 minute to run. in consumption, I don't even see this being charged to me. Okay, to be honest, it's so on the bottom of my bill that I don't even see, and probably I'm not even paid because I'm probably still under the free consumption part. So this is the big advantage, is that I'm just charged just for what I consume, and if you have functions that you just consume once here, once there, they are great. Also, the big advantage of this is that Microsoft will take care of all the high availability, and it will take care, okay, of it will take care also of the so all the high availability and the scaling, sorry, and the scaling too. So all the scaling I don't need to worry about. Microsoft will take care for that. So I'm getting a question here that is, when is more appropriated, okay, to use a web app or an Azure function, okay? So you probably will need to use both most of the times, okay? Because the web application will have a user interface with the user, but then there are certain actions that, like a little bit of a long running task that will need to happen in the back, that if you don't want to make sure, you don't want your users to be there and waiting for that, you can just put that under a web application. Usually, for example, the big example that I use here is, imagine that you have a photo sharing application. So you upload a photo and then you need to create the thumbnails of the pictures. You could put all that code in the web application. So I'm uploading the picture and then I'm like waiting for my picture to be processed. And then, oh yeah, it's done. It's in here. Or I can just upload the picture and then in the back, there is a background process that will just do that. That will be the Azure function. So in conjunction, the two of them will be awesome, okay? So you can just build this like with using that approach, okay? Then we have what? We have triggers, okay? So triggers based on Azure services like Cosmos, like blobs, queues, service bus. So, we already talked about all of those. But I can also have what? I can also have HTTP requests. So you get an HTTP endpoint, and hey, just do a get request on that, or a post request, or wherever you configure it to work with, and basically your function will just start. Or even a scheduled timer. For example, one of my solutions I have, it's a scheduled timer, okay, because it's like I think it's every Friday at 5 or 6 p.m. Then I'm just going to send something to some servers. And that's a scheduled timer, okay? So, and we'll just run. But I can also use third-party services, okay? So if, for example, someone does something in a repo on GitHub, okay, or if there is some issues on GitHub and they're still open issues, and I can analyze the open issues that I have in a repo, and I can say, well, why the hell I have like issues that are here for more than a week and no one replied to this? So let's just send an email to the repo owner, things like this, okay, that we can have, and we can integrate this. The thing which we'll do with the text messages that I already told you to. So there's a lot of integrations that I can do. But let's just do a demo, okay? Let's just do a demo. Let's create here an Azure function, okay, a first Azure function. And for that one, I'm going to use I'm just going to use the Azure portal. So let me just put this slightly bigger so that everyone can see. Here on the left, I just need to go to function app. If you don't see this in here, you can just click create a resource, okay? And if you search for functions, you get the function app here, you press create. And then I just need to put a name, okay? And for example, for the name, I'll just put webinar demo. Usually this one is free for me. It's not, webinar demo 2, there you go. And let's just create a new resource group. I will just call webinar functions. There you go. And then I can choose, okay, what is going to be the OS. And in here, Microsoft will change the available runtime stacks based on the OS that you have here. For example, in Windows, okay, I don't see Python here, okay, and I really wanted to write my function in Python. So you need to run this in Linux. Okay, Python, it's only available currently on Linux. What Microsoft does here is that they saw that, well, probably Python just runs better on Linux than on Windows, so they gave priority to that to run on Linux. And this is the new Microsoft. We call it the new Microsoft, but I think it's not new anymore. Okay, but this is the reality today in Microsoft. They just don't care if it's Windows, Linux, or whatever. They will just run the best tools for the best job, and that's it. So I will stick with Windows, okay, in here. And in the hosting plan, I'm just going to choose, I can choose consumption plan or Azure or an app service plan. As you can see, consumption plan, it's this, and there's no more choices. Of course, if I click app service plan, I need to choose what is the app service plan that I want to have. In my case, I'm going for a consumption plan. You can reuse a consumption plan, an app service plan if you want. Then the location of this. So I'm in Europe, so I'm just going to select the West Europe because it's the one that is more near from where I am. Runtime stack, yeah, .NET. Okay, let's just stick with this. And the storage account that this creates to associate stuff and basically to take care of all the restarts and all of that part, it will be that. And I'm just disabling application inside so that this doesn't take an extra time to creating also the application insights account. But I really advise you to check out application insights and of course make use of application insights. Because it's just a demo, I don't want to wait a few more seconds to have an application insights account. This is why I disable this. So let me check here some questions. I'll do Azure Functions compare to scheduler job collections. Can I use a function to hit a web page once a day? Well, yeah, you can create a function to hit a web page once a day for sure. But I will advise you if you're talking about a page that is under the app service, there is also another feature called Always On. Okay, that probably will do that for you. Okay, so you don't need to develop a function. The scheduler job collections. The scheduler, you're talking probably about the Azure automation, I guess. I will advise that it is that one. So I will say that that year it's more for process automation and maintaining an infrastructure, etc. If you want to run code and business logic, I will advise you more to go to basically to Azure Functions. Okay, so there you go. Our web application is complete now. No, there you go. Webinar demo 2. There you go. It's our function here. So this is our function. Our function app. Now I need to create a function in here. So let's just create here a new function, and I will stick with the default names, etc. In terms of development environments, as you can see, I can develop this in Visual Studio. To be honest, if you're doing .NET stuff, that will be probably the place where you should do this. Visual Studio Code, any editor, or in the portal. I will choose for now in the portal so that you can see how easy it is to create here a function. I can just put a timer, a webhook API, or more templates. In my case, I go for the more templates because I want one that it will be when I have something in a storage queue, I want to sort my function. And as you can see here, I have a bunch of others in here, like I'll see the SendGrid that I told you about, Twilio, it's also here, etc. But for me, I'm going for this one, which is Azure Storage, Azure Queue Storage. And I already clicked install because this takes a while, okay, to install. And I will explain what I want to achieve. So I will create a queue in my Azure Storage account, and then I will basically insert a message on that queue. And every time that I get a message there, boom, okay, what I want is that my Azure function runs. So let's just wait for this to install. And when this is installing, let me just see here another question. Okay, so I will just resume because it's a lot of text and it's a very interesting question from Bill. It's basically if you have basically a business problem that doesn't take just a few seconds to solve. It can take a good bunch of minutes or even hours. Azure Functions in consumption mode, it will not be a good idea for you and for those use cases, because it takes a while. If it takes a while to do that, because consumption mode has a default of 5 minutes. If your function doesn't finish in 5 minutes, you're timed out. You can change that, okay, up to 10. So if we're talking about stuff that is near hours, etc., Azure Functions will not be the answer. So when you have these kinds of problems, there are other tools for do long-running tasks. One of them for that case, if it takes a lot of time, so I'm guessing here that you need a lot of compute power, I will do this more with something like, for example, Azure Batch, which is another service that we have on Azure. Okay, so Azure Batch probably will be a better tool for your use case. I have another question from Carlos that says execution prices are not very clear on the Microsoft site. Yeah, okay, so that I will always advise everyone, talk with your partner on licensing, because each contract, if you're big enough, each contract can be a different contract, okay, and then they can explain a little bit more on this, but there are certain variables over there. But today I didn't want it to make this as a business presentation, more a technical one. But yes, you are correct. So new function here, I will just call my function QTrigger1. That's an awesome number for a presentation. And this is my queue name. I will just copy this, and I will just use the same storage connection that I have for my function already. So I will just create this. And when this is creating, let me just go here on another browser, on another tab, and let me just zoom this in. Subscriptions, I don't want, I just want this one. We call it webinar functions. I should have an Azure storage account here. And then on my Azure storage account, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a queue, okay? And the queue will have that specific name that I said that I wanted on the other side, okay? And there you go. And I will add a message to this. And the message will be test 5, okay, for 3, 2, 1, okay? Azure Functions rocks. Okay, I will not send this yet. I need to press OK, but I will not. So this is my function, okay, in here. And as you can see, my function over here, I'm just doing the log information, okay? And I'm just saying C# QTrigger function processed. And then this is what I will have inside my message. So let me just run this. You can see the terminal window here of the log. Okay, it's running the function. I will go for my queue. I will just press OK to send the message. And then we come in here and we wait a few seconds, and then boom, there you go. Okay, see over there, C# QTrigger function, Azure Functions, and then I have the rocks part over there. Okay, here. So this just run my Azure function. I know, yeah, it's a simple thing, but you just need to go here, okay, in your function, and then just write here, okay, instead of doing the log.log information, hey, just write your use case, and that's it. Another cool demo that I always do is, okay, let's just do something similar, but now let's use, okay, Visual Studio. And if you go to cloud, you have an option, okay, that is Azure Functions, okay. Probably you need to install this in some, if you have an older version of Visual Studio, etc., but I'm sure that you can find this online. If you don't, just like install Azure Functions in visualstudio.net, and probably you will get there. So I will just do this, and let me just choose here the correct folder for me, and I will just stick with Function App 2. This is awesome. I see here, okay, Azure Functions 2, V2, always choose V2 for starting stuff now. And then I can select here what is kind of the trigger that I want. Again, a timer, a queue trigger, service bus, etc. So all of them they are here. I'll just choose a blob trigger for this one. Okay, and then I can choose the storage emulator, or I can browse. And if I browse, for example, you can see the storage accounts that you have on a real storage account, on a real Azure subscription. In my case, I'm connecting to an Azure subscription. Sometimes the UI here takes a little bit of time to do that. So let's just wait for this to load. There you go. And then I will connect to this storage account, which is the storage account that we just created. And this is the samples work items. This will be basically the blob container name that I need to create over there. Okay, so as you can see here, I will just try to put this a little bit bigger so that everyone can see. So I will have a blob trigger here, that this will be the blob container name, and then I'm just doing something very similar. Okay, so the name of it, and then the name of the blob, and then the size, okay, of the blob. So let's get back to my storage account. Oops, I will go to blobs. Okay, and I will create a container, okay, with this name. So there you go, sample work items. And now I'm just going to upload something in here, but I will not click upload before I do this. So let me just upload this file. I will not click upload, okay? So let's get back to Visual Studio. Let's put my function to run. Let's just wait a second for this to run. Yeah, I need to allow the access. So this is the function runtime that we can run in here, and there you go. So now I will click here, upload, and it has been uploaded. And if we wait a second, so there you go. Okay, so see over there, new blob detected. It's the stickers blob.jpg. Okay, it's in here, and then I have the output was the name and the size. Okay, so as you could see, okay, it's fully running. So basically what I'm doing is I'm basically just running this because I had a trigger for my blobs. See how easy it is to do this. Of course, look, we could build, and I could show you some more cool stuff. Like I have another function here. So if we go to resource groups in this one, and I have the func webinar. So I have here a function, which is an image, webinar image resizer. It's the name of the function. So what this does is pretty simple. So I have a storage account here. And if I go to blobs, so if I have here, I have two blob containers. One is called image, the other one is thumbnails. Every time that I add, I just upload here something, okay? And I will not upload this because this was the one that I uploaded. Let me just upload, for example, the MVP logo, okay? Upload, there you go. It has been uploaded. So now there is an Azure function already running on this in the back that will just make use of a library for doing image resizing. And I'm just calling, hey, resize this to 100 to 100. And then if we go here to the thumbnails, this sometimes takes a while, okay, but I have this one here. As you can see, okay, I can click on this. This was one that I already tested. And if I copy this, okay, you will see that this will be, yeah, because this is, I need the, sorry about it. So I have security on this, so I need to container. So it's the thumbnails. Oops, not in here. Come on, come on. Here, I need to change the access level. Let me just put this container. I don't care. Okay, I will delete this in a few seconds. So there you go. As you can see this, okay, this is the image that I use as my profile picture. And this is an image that has 100, okay, by 100. It was resized using that, because the original image is this one here. As you can see, it's 1.14 megabytes, and the other is pretty smaller. So this is the kind of things that we can do with Azure Functions. Okay. So with this, I get like functions everywhere, and this is an awesome slide. It's like, I know it's huge, and people say, "Oh my God, so much information in a single slide." But let's go from the left to the right. I can do local development. You saw this running. So basically, the functions runtime running on my machine for development. Okay, great. I can do that on Windows. There is the runtime for Mac and also for Linux. I can also do and host this in production, which is that blue bar, all the other ones. I can do this in the Azure Function Services in 3 different ways today. Consumption plan, we talk about it. App service, we talk about it. And now on Microsoft Build a few days ago, a couple of days ago, to be honest, there was also announced the premium plan. And so the premium plan, I can have more features in terms of high availability, and even features of always having instances for my functions, so that if I can really grow, I don't need to wait, okay, to get another instance for my functions to run. I just have one always there, just ready for me. Also run this on IoT devices doing a Docker container, additional Azure hosts like AKS, Service Fabric, etc. And then this one here, okay, for example, in Service Fabric, you can also use this on-prem. And also, of course, Kubernetes, just a VM, and then just run the Docker container over there and more. Okay, so even non-Azure hosts, you can run this. You can run Azure Functions on AWS or in GCP, for example, if you want today, which is kind of cool, right? And of course, on-prem, if you're just using the app service on the Azure stack, okay, it's still not available for Azure Stack, Azure Functions, okay? You need to use this as the app service, not like consumption, but if you're owning the hardware, so, okay, it makes kind of sense that app service will be fine. Bindings, this is a declarative way to connect the data from your code. So I can connect the services without the plumbing code that we talk about. Output bindings can send data to Azure services, like, for example, storage accounts, Azure Cosmos DB or Service Bus, and you don't need to specify, okay, oh, I need to put this in the storage account. Okay, so I need to basically make use of the Azure Storage SDK and do it like this. No, you can just say, hey, just generate something, right, and drop there, like what I did on that function to create a thumbnail. There is no code implemented to write that on the storage on that container. I just said, hey, when you have that ready, hey, just send the blob up there, and that's it. Functions will take care of that for you. So best practices that we have. So in terms of best practices, avoid long-running functions. Okay, some of you already talk about this. Okay, you make the question, and that was an excellent question. But I have it here too. So functions that run for a long time, they can time out. So please don't do it, okay? If you have stuff like that, basically Azure Functions, okay, it's not, okay, it is not the tool for that specific problem. Use queues for cross-function communication. If you require direct communication, maybe durable functions, okay, or logic apps will be the answer. If not, you can just have a function just doing something that just drops a message somewhere, and then another one that gets that message and then just do something with it. Functions should be stateless and independent. And then, of course, state data should be associated with your input and output payloads, okay? So also very important, this part that you can stay with the states and you can get states. Code defensively. Assume that your function might need to continue from a previous failed point, etc. So don't assume that functions will always run. That'll be awesome, but hey, that's not the reality. So you always need to validate, hey, did this step finished or not, etc. And this is why we also do very tiny small functions. I have project that I have a lot of functions, okay, but I just have basically just a few just a few lines of code in each function. They are just very precise on what we do. Okay, I already did this, which is create the functions with Visual Studio, Azure Functions core tools. So Visual Studio extension, again, to develop, test, and deploy. This is the thing that you need to download. Okay, use web jobs attributes to configure functions in C# code, and then pre-compile C# functions. They are way better in cold start performance if you have them pre-compiled. I have, like, for example, a few questions here. That one of the questions is web jobs versus functions, and I know that I have other questions that I didn't answer, but web jobs functions, they use the web job routines. Okay, it's not they are basically using web jobs, but today, if you're using stuff today, all the cool new features Microsoft is putting on Azure, okay, on Azure Functions. So just go for Azure Functions. There is a lot of things that we could compare web jobs, okay, with Azure Function. That will be awesome for another webinar, and let's just do like a fight between web jobs and Azure Functions, etc. But there are differences, yeah, but we don't have the time, okay, here today. I'll just step very quickly, okay, in some of the code because you already saw the code, but you're going to get presentation, yes, okay, this is going to be available for everyone. If you don't get it, just send me an email, I will provide it for you, okay? So I'll just step further from this, okay, etc. Because I just really want to talk for a few minutes about durable function. I know that we are already at 8, but we started a little bit later, so I'm just going to start. I'm going to try to do the fastest that I can about durable functions. Durable functions is an extension of Azure Functions, and it's very important when I need to write what we call stateful functions for serverless, because this extension will manage the states, checkpoints, and all the restarts that we need to do. Examples that we have and some patterns is, for example, this one is one of the patterns that Durable Functions implements. It's function chaining, that we have a series of functions over there that we need to execute in that specific order that you see over there. All the outputs of one function will be the input of the other function, but we need to store this because in the case of, well, something needs to restart, etc., well, we need to store the state. So, and then durable functions, it's the extension that will take care of that for you, so that you don't need to implement all that logic in some other kind of application that you're going to build. Also, fan in and fan out, execute multiple functions in parallel, then I need to wait for all the functions to finish, okay, like in step F2 over there, and then maybe I need to do some aggregation work in the end for that F3 that you see over there, so that then I can have a proper output. So this is kind of stuff, okay, that I can do. Async HTTP APIs, so this pattern addresses the problem of coordinating the state of long-running operations with external clients. And a common way, okay, to implement this pattern is just having HTTP call triggers the long-running action, then redirect the client the status of the endpoint, okay, so that the client pools need to learn when the operation is finished or it's not finished. We also have the monitor. This just basically reflects a flexible recurring process in the workflow. And for example, an example is pooling until a specific condition is met. Okay, so something like that. And also the last one, and it's human interaction. Okay, I always make fun of something. People sometimes get shocked. Okay, I hope that I'm not shocking anyone, but I always say that, well, humans are awful in doing work and doing interactions, etc. And what I can do is that, because, well, I have like someone requesting an approval, and a human will take a long time. If it's a machine, it's done. There you go, sir. There you go. A human, no, because they take breaks. Sometimes they miss work, etc. So I might need to create automation process that I will need feedback from humans. And this is another, okay, another one that I need to put what? I need to put there a timeout. If he doesn't reply in X hours, X days, well, we need to do something like escalate that to something. Or else, hey, it's approved, okay, the process, or is rejected. And if it's rejected, you're going to have another function, and you can decide where to go. Okay, so all of these patterns and samples that you have them available in the Azure documentation. Okay, so under the Azure documentation, they have all of this over there, and even with code examples that today we just don't have the time for that. Azure Logic Apps, another very important piece in the serverless world. We can do this in a very visual way. I can just put something in here in a very visual way. I can do this. And basically what we have is I could just create a logic app, a very simple logic app. I will skip this one, okay? But the good thing and the important thing is how can I integrate my logic apps with Azure Functions? So I can run Azure Functions inside my logic app. And the great idea is, let's imagine I already have, I don't know, like 10, 12 functions deployed. And one of the functions really do something that, hey, that's exactly what I need to do in my logic app. So the great thing that we have is that I can, okay, just use this, okay, because let's see here, see, when a new email arrives, that's our trigger, okay, in an Outlook.com account. And then Azure function, okay, and then I can just say, hey, I just want to run that Azure function over there. Or I can even develop and just put code of a specific Azure function inside my logic app. So this is a great, okay, a great way to also integrate logic apps in Azure functions, all of this together. Okay, so it's really really awesome what I can do with this. And so what is next for you guys? Try Azure Functions. You have the link over there, functions.azure.com, Azure Functions documentation, and then in here you have the durable functions. Okay, in here I can try to show you this Azure Functions GitHub repo. So this one that you have there, then they have examples, and they have a lot of examples over there. Also the serverless library. Serverless library, it's basically a project that Microsoft put in place that a lot of people are trying to develop examples, and some of them are really not examples. They are really working functions that you might use them, okay, in your business. You just might need to tune them up a little bit, etc. But they are working things, okay, and there are some of them are pretty useful. So the idea is Microsoft just build a library of functions so that people don't need to develop all of them. And if we all have the same problem, the same need, hey, if we have them there, hey, maybe we can all collaborate for this, okay? So let me just show you here the durable. So if we just search durable functions, okay, see the first one is durable functions on overview, and for the most curious, yeah, I'm using Bing and I like it, okay. It really works pretty well for Azure stuff, okay. What are durable functions? See, and then we have here all the ones that I talk about, like chaining, and then in chaining you have here, and then you have the code for this, and let's just see the code here. So this is my orchestrator, okay, this is my extension. And then I'm just doing this for X, just execute function 1. Okay, there's a function called function 1 here. And then the second line there of code here that I have here, and I'm just saying execute F2 after, okay, X has finished, and with, okay, because I need here, what I'm saying here is that this X, this will be the result of the execution of F1. Okay, so this is why I'm waiting for it to finish, and then I grab that result, and I use that result on the other one. This is for C#. You have also examples here for JavaScript, for example. Okay, So this is cool. And of course, then if you go down, you have the fan out, fan in, etc. You have all the other, okay, all the other ones. So I would just like to thank everyone for being here. And once again, I will just like to say sorry in the name of the whole team from Wintellect for us to get today's webinar later than what was scheduled. So my name is Tiago Costa, and this is how you can develop Azure Functions. So contact me. This was a good introduction. So if you guys want to know more, etc., don't forget there is always the training that Wintellect provides. You get 10% discounts here. Don't forget, if you have interest, contact Marta. She'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, and if you have also questions, you can just email. Okay, Wintellect general email. Okay, thank you very much. And I will just answer some of the questions now here by chat that I didn't have the opportunity to reply. Okay, so thank you very much.